All right, good Friday afternoon, everybody. Coming to you for a second time this week with a live session. So hopefully people will be able to make it on board because this one is audience participation webinar. Hopefully you'll find it illuminating, and we're going to get to that. We're going to take a journey together, but it requires some participation on your part. Hopefully, like I said, you'll find it enlightening and illuminating. So we're going to wait for people to get on board. And it's funny, as I'm waiting for people to climb on board, good story from this morning. I was just laughing at myself. I was doing my second meal, which is always nuts and fruit. And I was at the grocery store. I should have taken a picture, but I didn't. But I bought a fruit container that's like for a family picnic or whatever. It had different sections in it, and there was one section was cut up honeydew melon, two sections was cut up cantaloupe, another section was cut up pineapple, and in the middle was a bunch of red grapes. And of course, I added to that. I had some leftover bunch of cherries, and then I also had usually when I grocery shop for fruit, I try to buy the biggest honking bananas I could find. So I had this honking banana. I looked down at the container of the fruit, and it had 891 grams. So that was without the cherries and without the banana and without the nuts. So I figure by the time I was done eating, it was at least 3 or 4 pounds of food there, which I find I've made me smile because it's sort of a family sized, picnic sort of contraption that they make with the cut up fruit. And I thought people are sharing this, and it's one meal if you're eating vegetarian vegan lifestyle, which changes your perspective because you're trying to eat as much as you can. You're not trying to not eat as much as you can, which tends to be the case on an omnivore diet. So it's a real change in thinking, and I just made me laugh, and I thought I would share that with everyone. So we got a good group coming. Everyone's getting online. Just Linda online, and then we got Mike. My client Mike is online. Good afternoon, everyone, and Coach. We got people from everywhere coming online. I'm just going to share because today's going to be an audience participation one, hopefully. So JP saying hola, coach. Buenos dias, JP. So hit your share buttons, hit your emoticons. Let's get some people joining in because I got a lot to get through. And then I want to get people involved as much as we possibly can. So I'm going to get all that going as well. So very, very important that we are going to take a journey together, and we're going to end up somewhere that I hope you will find illuminating and enlightening and great. A lot of my clients are on board. Ollie is on board as well. So great. A lot of my great before and after people are on board. So this should be helpful. So I want you guys to participate as much as possible. You can write words, you can write sentences, but I'm going to get you guys to participate. And Andy's just saying, pay attention, always truth on this page. So hopefully that turns out to be true today. I want to talk to you today about things that are hiding in plain sight, that we don't talk about, we don't consider, we don't think about, but are tantamount to everything you're doing and why you're doing it. And so I want to make sure that we involve ourselves in paying attention to what we pay attention to. So, having said all that, we got a good number of people. I'm going to bring the lecture, the webinar on board, and I want you to participate. So, let's take a journey and then let's see where we end up. So, hopefully, you guys can see all that. And I want you to tell me right now what you see in this picture. You can use words, sentences, whatever. Tell me the first thing that pops into mind with what you see here. You can caption it, you can whatever. But this is where we're going to start. And like I said, we are going to take a journey. So hopefully you guys will see that picture and then tell me what you see here. Mike says friendship. Good. Good point, Mike. Perry says friends. Also good. Also pertinent. Yeah, just Ange says lots of love, lots of hearts, very important stuff. JP says the same thing. Love, very important. So again, just share whatever comes to mind as you look at this picture, and then it's going to begin our journey going somewhere. Perry's just being descriptive, so I won't even share that. What I want is the emotes, whatever emotions that come to mind when you see this picture. Domino's just saying family. So what emotions do these evoke in you when you see them? That's the important thing. So again, I'm going to go to the next picture here. Corinna's just saying love. So very important. So no worries, Perry. That's okay. I should have been more clear. So let's go to the next slide. And again, what do you see here? What emotions do you see? Ashley's just saying happy. Very good. Yep. Excellent. So compared with the first picture, etc., etc., and then just the immediate response. There's a good one. A bond. That's a very good word. Depending on the journey we are going to take. Perry says joy as well. So these are very important and very good words, all things considered, considering where we're going and how we're going to get there. And the journey we are about to take. So very good, you guys. Keep sharing what you're seeing here, and in the first three pictures, and then Andy's just saying connection. Yeah, good, actual literal and figurative there. Connection. Yeah, we're seeing that everywhere. Connection, good word. I wouldn't have thought of that myself. So very good word, and we are on the caring and kindness. Wow, these are you're going to see why these matter as we get going along. So good. So we're going to continue now, and then let's see in the next slide. Okay, so we'll move along here. How does this relate to the North American diet mentality? Let's look at all the words that were just shared: caring and kindness and connection and man's best friend, happy, bond, all those things, unconditional love, family, trust, etc., etc. Does that have any bearing on the North American diet mentality? So yes, it actually does. And this is where we're going to veer off and consider things that are hiding in plain sight that we never consider, that affect everything that is about what I do and how I do it. And if you're following me, then what you do and how you do it. So I thought that was an important foundation to lay in terms of creating what we're talking about. So feel free to comment as we go. So here is the phrase that you want to grasp onto, and the phrase that you need to know and you need to embrace. We nurture what we love, and we love what we nurture. So we go back to here, reflection. We nurture what we love, and we love what we nurture. And then how that affects our body image, our self-image, and things like that. So again, all those words that we began with in those two pictures, they now affect your diet mentality and your body image. So we go back here, all the words that people said unsuspectingly, what if that was just an image of your own body that you were embracing, not embracing? How would you embrace it? What you see, is it the truth? Is it not the truth? And these are the things that are hiding in plain sight in this industry that we need to address. So we nurture what we love, and we love what we nurture. That should be something that people memorize and ingrain and imprint into your heads. And the opposite, what we disrespect. There's more. Yes, so health, love all the colors. Yeah, so what we disrespect or are disgusted by, we disrespect what we find disrespectful. We either ignore, reject, neglect, disregard, or react against what we are disgusted by, depending on our level of emotional motivation. I'll give you an example. For instance, for myself, I would never go on any websites that have anything to do with child beauty contests. Doesn't interest me. I find it disgusting, but not to the level of I would neglect it, ignore it, disregard it, but I wouldn't engage it, and I certainly wouldn't nurture it, and I wouldn't nurture what I love and love what I nurture. So often we even revolt against and act against what we find disgusting and what we disrespect. And that's something to keep in mind as well, because it takes us right back to how we think about our bodies, and how we think about how and why we eat is very, very important. When it comes to, we nurture what we love and we love what we nurture. So hopefully you see where I'm going with this. So regardless, what we are repulsed by invokes negative emotions within us, and that seldom leads to nurturing behavior toward that thing. So what if that thing is your own body? Are you going to be like this and partner up and all those words, connection and partnership and energy? Or are you living in disrespect and rejection of what you see and how you see it? So that's very, very important. So when it comes to your own body, do you love what you nurture and nurture what you love? Because that's going to affect how you approach, how you feed your body, and long-term effects and consequences of that as well. So do you ignore, not care, disregard, disrespect, or even revolt against your own body? So imagine like beating your dog, or ignoring your dog or your pet, neglecting your pet or your dog. Now can you understand how and why many of you sabotage your best efforts at losing weight, and why it takes so many years and years of repeating the same behaviors and expecting a different result? Because quality of mindset determines quality of behavior, and you can't self-hate your way to a better body. And this is what is going on constantly. And I want to show you how and why it goes on, and the imprints that you embrace without even realizing that you're embracing it. So that's really, really important stuff. And that's what I want to get you to embrace. So remember, in the future, we look at this. What do you see? Something like this: we nurture what we love and we love what we nurture. How does that pertain to how and why you involve yourself in exercise and diet strategy, and what you hope to get out of it? So the lyrics of a song by Bruce Springsteen is, "It's a sad person, my friend, who is living in his own skin, but he can't stand the company." And I see this all the time with people who write me. And I've even talked about this before. I've had clients who couldn't lose weight, who actually committed suicide because of a body image they couldn't live up to. And that has, of course, imprinted on me. So if you can't stand your own company because of how you look, how is that going to reflect on you love what you nurture and nurture what you love? So that's really, really important. And you need to realize where and how your environment triggers these things in you for self-acceptance or self-rejection. So how you feed yourself is a reflection of how you view yourself and your position in the world. If you panic eat, you stress eat, you overeat, you undereat. When it comes to your body also, and your body image, are your expectations real? So it's not only we nurture what we love and we love what we nurture, but the imprints that we absorb, how they affect your expectations of what you expect to get out of a diet strategy, a workout program, etc. Are these expectations real? So we need to come to grips with the fact that body image and self-image and food freedom are all intertwined together, because that's the way industry wants it. And that's the way you were socialized culturally to believe in. And separating those things can be a very, very difficult task. So Domino's just saying thank you for doing this today, as you were so right. Yeah, I hope people are getting on board. Feel free to comment as we go on. I don't have to lecture all the way through. Ashley's just saying what we focus on grows, positive or negative. And that's the thing. However, not just what we focus on, Ashley, but the imprints that we don't realize have been made on us. And that's what we're about to get to. So we're going to do a little bit of a right-hand turn here in terms of, but I want you to absorb this picture specifically What are you looking at right now in this picture? Because this reflects a lot of what my clients are like, and they don't even realize it, even though they think their expectations are real. When they look in the mirror, they look to criticize, and they don't look for self-acceptance. So they don't look for this when they look in the mirror, and instead they look for flaws that they need to correct, because the modern industrial beauty machine has that imprint on you. So very, very important as well. So we're going to discuss here. Now, I want you to take a second. What do you see? What do you see? Do you see a young woman or an old woman? And why does that matter? So I'll give you guys a second, really quick. Type in what you see. Do you see a young woman or an old woman? Or do you see both? So take a quick look at that and let me know what you see. We won't even discuss why you see it, but tell me which of those you see in this frame, the young woman or the old woman. So take a minute there. Perry says, Mike says young. Perry says young. Oliver says young. What about you ladies? What are you seeing there? The young woman or the old woman? Everyone seems to say, Rob says both. That's very introspective there, Rob. So, yeah. So, young. Linda says young. Everyone's saying young. Can you even see the old, folks? So, can you see? Andy says he sees both. Okay. So most people see the young girl. Let me follow my cursor here. Instead of seeing this as the young girl's ear, okay, see that as the older woman's eye, and see this as her crony nose, and this as her smile instead of the younger woman's neckline necklace. Can you now see the older woman? Lydia says she sees the young woman. Okay, this is great. Can you guys show me both? I can't see it. Okay, I'm trying to show you both. Ollie. So Ollie's just saying he can't see the old lady. So again, follow my cursor. This, where you see the young girl's ear, is now the old lady's eye. So look at that as an eye, and look at the young girl's necklace as a smile, or as the lips and the mouth of the old, and tell me now that you can see both. So now you can see the young lady and the old lady, and that gives me chills, and I've done this 1,000 times. So hopefully you guys can see this. Douglas, he says yes. Thumbs up from Linda. Everyone can see this. Now you can see both. Everyone can see both. Okay, you see the young woman. If you make this part the ear, if you make to the right in the middle the ear, and then this crease line, a necklace, and you see the old woman, if the ear becomes an eye and the necklace becomes a mouth, then you see the old woman. Got it? All right. Ollie, you got it? Okay. Everyone's seeing it. Okay. Everyone, wow. Okay. Now, why does this matter? Well, this actually goes back to 1983, my social psychology course, and what's called an effect, marketing effect. So what I wanted to show you here, Lydia's just saying, I see the old one now, but that was only because you pointed her out. Yeah, no, that's fine. But I want to show this to you because this is how marketing body image works. Telling you what to see and how to see it is the goal of cultural imprints that hide in plain sight. And that's what we're going to address. So that's a funky permutation of what I wanted to bring to you from my old days. So again, let's look at this. Young lady or old lady, why does it matter? 80% of you saw the young lady. And remember, in marketing, what do we see? We see what we want to see. Okay, so this becomes really important elements of body image, self-image, all right, all the things that I pointed out, self-image and food freedom, right? So, and now Ollie's saying now he can't see the young one, and that's how it goes back and forth. So you can't unlearn something you've learned, but if you want to see the young one again, Ollie, the wart on the old lady's nose becomes the nose of the young lady, and the old lady's eye becomes the young lady's ear, and her smile becomes her necklace. And then you should be able to see that. So very, very important. Domino, I'm just going to comment briefly on your comment because I want to get through all this. But Domino's just saying, I believe our way of thinking reflects what we see. Of course it does. Those who see positive will see the glass half full. Those who see negative will see the glass half empty. That is the old trick of optimism versus pessimism, Domino, which is incomplete. I've talked about this a million times, so let me just reference that, and then I'll get past it. So I'll leave that up there for Oliver to absorb. But the optimist versus the pessimist is an incomplete story. Okay, so the optimist sees the glass as half full. The pessimist sees the glass as half empty. The realist sees the glass as too damn big, and the protagonist doesn't care about the glass. He cares about what's in it. So those are the important elements that go into levels of depth when it comes to thinking and emoting. Again, going right back to the first frame, we love what we nurture and we nurture what we love. So I'm going to go on with that. Now, next slide. Okay, so Ange is here. We're going to talk about Ange a million times. And Ange was a big fat fatty. And we came by that term. Ange used it first. I didn't use it when we first met and when she talked about it. So you see her before and after. And we've been challenged on this many times about people saying, why do you say that? Do you not understand how that makes people who are still big feel? And I've tried to explain to people everything I've just explained to you. The reason that we do that is to disarm the former body image from having any impact, any power over Ange at all, so that her past does not negatively imprint on her present and her future. And that's why we disarm their former self 10 years ago by saying a big fat fatty, so it loses its emotional value. It has no emotional impact. It's like the old woman, young woman again. And it's like you nurture what you love and you love what you nurture. So we disempower. It reminds me of the movement in the 60s when white people used to call people of color, black people especially, either they were colored, all right, or they were Negro. And then in the 60s, the Black Panther movement came along and with the phrase black is beautiful. And from then on, they were black or they were African American, which completely disempowered those other terms. So we were doing the same kind of thing here. And that's important because body image, self-image, and food freedom, if you're lost a lot of weight, but you still live a life inside the thin cage of obsessing about macros, and you've got your Fitpal and you're crunching numbers and you're worried about your percentages and you're worried about your carbs, you've just exchanged tired old fat jail cell bars with shiny new thin ones and more of them. And that's not food freedom. That's not body image freedom. And that's buying into cultural imprints that have been put upon you. Again, seeing the young lady instead of the old lady. So food freedom looks something like this. Okay, happy face, no negative connotations, no negative imprints, no negative attachments. So this is Ange on a recent trip. That's with Beachhead. So as you can see, smiles, they're not just faked for the camera. That's what food freedom is like. Being able to enjoy food, not say, oh, I can't eat carbs. Oh, I'm carb resistant. Oh, I'm carb intolerant. All the other things that the food, diet, and fitness industry want to imprint upon you that aren't true, so that you continue to live a life with emotional attachment to body image, self-image. Is what I'm saying resonating, folks? If it is, hit your share buttons, hit your emoticons. You know, I wanted to do this webinar for a long time. And it's important that we talk about what's hiding in plain sight, which I'm going to get to. So this is just a bunch of pictures I threw together of Ange having dessert. This was vegan gelato, and this was vegan pasta, and that was a vegan burger, and that was chocolate cake on her birthday. All these things that celebrate food freedom, staying lean, and not fearing food because of letting go of cultural imprints of Ange was a big fat fatty. That's why we have no emotional attachment to it. We've disempowered that phrase so that it doesn't impact her present. Here she is eating Tim Horton donuts, one of her favorites. So she's able to indulge and imbibe versus someone I explained about in a previous webinar. When Ange and I were in a lineup at a restaurant, a lady was holding up her phone to her husband saying, "We can't eat here because I'm all out of carbs today." That's not food freedom. I don't care how thin you are. That's life inside the thin cage. Shame on the diet and fitness industry for imprinting that on us. But where does it come from? And then here's Ange just sort of indulging me in my love for the wobbly pops. So as you can see, nothing's off limits with her. And she clearly has food freedom. She doesn't weigh herself. She doesn't, none of those things that the fitness and diet industry want you to track and make your life reduced to a set of numbers. How and why does that work? And this was some soft ice cream way back when before the vegan transition. So that's just showing you a lot of stuff. And then Ashley's just saying the tracking macros made her neurotic. There's a lot of truth to that, of course. And then we've got a lot of happy faces and everything. And Anne's just commenting on how much she loves her food. And that is the point. Food freedom, not food prison. It's not have to, it's choose to. And we need to go to a place and understand why that slide, old woman, young woman, and the body image in the mirror, why that slide is so important. All right. We need to understand that, and we need to get past that. All right. And that's what we're about to do here. So, are your expectations real? Are you working from a place of self-acceptance or self-rejection? The foundation of everything about fitness is going to have to be from self-acceptance or self-rejection. When will you be good enough the way you are? Ange found food freedom not through hating herself or by hating her body. She had no expectations of something. Too often, people write me who are overweight and they want to get on a physique stage. The absolute the flip side of the same coin of body obsession, which would make you even more neurotic, as Ashley points out, and make you more obsessed, not less. The idea should be food freedom. The idea should be body image, nurture what we love and love what we nurture. It shouldn't be self-rejection until. Okay, so Anne's just had a dream of just being able to someday wear a pretty dress and look feminine, not to look like someone else. She didn't put pictures of fitness bunnies on her fridge or to get on stage. That made her expectations real. All right. So she wasn't self-tormenting in her mind. But where does self-torment come from? We're going to get there. And I'm going to show you that. So her way to body transformation, losing 60 pounds and keeping it off for over a decade now, was through a path of self-acceptance. But why is it that our world, the world we live in, has created a whole cloud of guilt and shame around things we are specifically hardwired and evolved to enjoy, like looking for food, eating food, things like anticipating sex and enjoying sex? Our modern world has created a whole cloud of guilt and shame surrounding these things if you don't fit into acceptable molds. And these things can trap people for a lifetime. But being able to enjoy food, that's hardwired into us for survival. All right. That's why a whole food industry erupted in terms of restaurants and stuff. I've talked about that in past books. Same thing with sex. So building guilt and shame around these things, that's the perversion. All right. You thinking you have to track macros and the rest of it, that's the perversion. And modern cultural imprinting comes from marketing, not science. People will believe marketing and commercials before they will believe actual science. Case in point, I just saw a commercial just before coming online. It was two ladies in a bar, and one gets a glass of wine and one gets a Michelob Ultra Light, and the catchphrase is the difference in calories. And the one's enjoying her beer worry-free, but she's counting and tracking calories. That's life inside the thin cage. So how Ange got there was she wrote me and told me way back when. This is one of the ways she got there, reading my book, The Anti-Diet Approach to Weight Loss and Weight Control. But now there's more to it in terms of what I want to get to. Are your expectations real? So pay attention and lock in. Let's get busy on understanding what's going on in terms of imprinting the old lady, the young lady, and what you see, because what you see is the tip of an iceberg. What you're made to feel and emote, which is why I did the very first slide. What you see in this slide, that was to get honest response. We love what we nurture what we love. But what if we are programmed to believe in one specific idea or ideation? So Andy and I last week were out playing tour guide. We were at a place called the El Dorado Hotel in Kelowna on the water. And this place is all built around nostalgia. It's an old hotel, old building. So all over the place is pictures of the past. Well, what we have here, the 1964 Lady of the Lake contestants. So this is an actual, as you will see, beauty contest. And look how these ladies look. Okay. Average builds, average physiques. I've talked about this many times in my book, The Empowered Woman Experience, of how cultural imprints changed. It used to be to aspire to look like average women, and then beauty was a matter of import. Like if you could see this lady in the bottom right, you would see that she's a bit Zoftic. But these were 1964 Lady of the Lake contestants. Here's 1965 contestants. And what you see are, by today's standards, very average physiques. And of course, I'm going to post this one. This is more, you can see this. So this is an imprint. This lady here, you can't read the fine print here, but she's been a top finalist in like 10 different beauty contests that year in the 1960s. Look how she looks there. I have female clients who write me who look better than that and who cry because they don't look good enough the way they are. So when are you good enough the way you are? This was a standard in the 1960s. So something happened. What happened? Well, you can't sell average to average people, so you have to create the idea of better. All right, whether it's for men to have abs or women to look something, you can't sell something to anyone unless you can convince them that they don't have it already. So this is should impact you looking at this. This is an actual beauty contestant. Like I said, she was a top 5 finalist in like 10 beauty contests or something like that in that year. And then, of course, we have, look at this, the #1 sex symbol of all time. That is actually Marilyn Monroe. So what happened? Where are the cultural imprints? Why doesn't anyone aspire in the fitness and diet industry to look like this or to be okay looking like this? What are the imprints? The old lady, young lady, that culture embedded into us all, male and female, to accept a different idea, one that is narrower and narrower and harder and more rare to find and reach. And yet, ironic, in a irony of all ironies, what we have here is the #1 sex symbol of all time is actually a curvy woman. So very, very interesting. And then everything changed. So what I'm about to show you, this was a lady short for being a model, only 5'6". She weighed 112 pounds, had a 31, 23, 32 figure with a new kind of streamlined androgynous appeal, which reminded me of Robert Kennedy, the late Robert Kennedy, publisher of Muscle Mag and Oxygen and a bunch of like, eye candy magazines as well. And he once said to me, the ideal female fitness model for his magazine is someone that looks like a 10 to 12-year-old boy with implants. So again, I ask you, are these expectations real? And are you stacking yourself up against them when you look in the mirror and see what you see? And if so, then why do you torture yourself over images that are mostly rare and impossible to achieve and maintain? So who am I talking about? This is where everything changed in the 1960s. This is all in my book, The Empowered Woman Experience. This is the model Twiggy. And then everyone, of course, was aspiring and still is to this day in the fitness and diet industry, at least, aspiring to be as thin as possible, even though you hear statements like strong is the new thin and ripped is the new thin and lean is the new thin. But you know what's ironic to me is that the more in the modern day, and I'll get back to Twiggy in a second, what we see now is the masculinizing of the feminine ideal. So now what's feminine is to have abs. How many women have written me, well, I can't see my abs. I want to see my abs. That used to be disgusting in this day and age where I'm showing you right now. Now it's the goal. And if you can't see abs, and if you're born with a wide hips, like our beauty contest winner right here, right here. All right. So you've got wide hips. All right. And you don't look like Twiggy. Then you're wanting to aspire to something you can't change. You can't change the width of your hips and pelvis. You can't change the width of your clavicles. Those things you are going to grow into when you reach puberty. So in the 60s, what they found was by creating an impossible standard, more people would aspire to do anything to achieve it. And yet, this is Twiggy then and now. So here she is later as an older adult. Looks like anyone who has aged. I mean, she still looks fantastic for someone who's, older, our age or older. So here we go. So yet, what are women aspiring to? Younger versions of these people, and yet they all age. We all age as we do. Our bodies change, and yet are our expectations real? Where do the cultural imprints come from? Please, if you're liking this, you're hanging on, make some comments, hit some emoticons, hit your share button. But here's the thing. You think, oh yeah, that was then, this is now, but now is worse, because now, like I said, you got to have abs if you're a female. You still got to be a size 4. So actually the term was anorexic heroin chic. That was the term floating around the modeling industry. When I did my Empowered Woman Experience course, I had people watch the movie Gia, which was about one of the models from this era who was a heroin addict and died in her early 20s. And people can watch that if you want. But it got worse from Twiggy before it got better. One designer said he wanted models that were skinny enough that clothes would hang on them the way they would hang on a hanger. So the term in the industry was anorexic heroin chic. And yep, that's the actual term that they used. Beyond thin, sunken in eyes, pronounced cheekbones, which people are now getting plastic surgery to emulate, and basically a starvation look. So is this the reflection of a strong woman that you want to emulate? That is the question. And here is what the ideal model looked like in terms of the heroin chic age. So as you can see there, I told you a long time ago that people wrote me. I did actually have involvement with a couple models from back then. One who said breakfast, I can't remember exactly now, but breakfast was cigarettes, lunch was coffee, and dinner was gum, something along those lines. And then drinks. They lived a lot on alcohol. And of course, so that is an example. Absorb that, think about that. And then, of course, there's Kate Moss that Perry is just mentioning. Kate Moss's stats were listed at 5'7", 121 pounds, and a size 4. However, she was discovered at age 14, folks. So no doubt she did not weigh 121 pounds at age 14. So having a 14-year-old, 15-year-old model as the ideal image for women over 40 and over 35, is that expectation real? And yet this cultural imprint went on for decades. So she was part of the famous size 0 campaign. But doesn't 0 mean non-existent? Isn't 0 the lack of existence? Isn't this then heroin chic? And you can say, well, it's different now. Women want to be strong. They want to be lean. Not when you see what I see. The reason I abandoned the hardcore bodybuilding world was because it was after figure and fitness contests came to be popular, and I watched what it did to women. I watched the way it destroyed their lives, destroyed marriages, made them be beyond food obsessed for the rest of their lives. And they never had a sane relationship with food or their body again. That's not health. That's not well-being. That's not fitness. But it's something that hides in plain sight that we don't talk about. And we need to talk about it. So there's a picture of Kate Moss. And then as you can see, again, is that something you can aspire to? Is a size 4, is presenting 14, 15, 16-year-old models to 35 and 40-year-old women, creating imprints and expectations in you that are real. So we go back to the old woman, young woman. You're seeing what they want you to see, and you're buying what they want you to buy. In other words, you're not good enough the way you are. Buy our product and our solution, and you will be better. There is nothing wrong with self-improvement, folks, but it has to be on your terms, and it has to be via self-acceptance, going way, way back to slide number 1. We nurture what we love, and we love what we nurture. So you can't do that by buying into expectations that aren't real, aren't realistic, and that aren't made for you to even be able to reach and aspire to. A whole plastic surgery industry revolves around guaranteeing that, and you're never going to get there that way. So these are things you got to keep in mind as we go along. So there's Kate Moss. Again, reason I'm presenting this is my food freedom course that I released last week. Change is a process, not an event. So all these people who want to solve one problem for you by doing this magic tweak isn't going to work. Change is a process, not an event. And I'm proud of the food freedom course because it goes into self-acceptance as the vehicle to personal change, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, all three, spiritually, soulfully, if you want to call it that. And self-improvement on your own terms. That's right, Ashley. So there you go. Self-improvement on my terms, on your terms. So there you go. Very, very important. And what's Andy just saying? Sorry, Andy, I missed that. Andy's mindset, why try to grasp the ungraspable? Human body is a process, not a thing. Everything changes with time. Why would you identify? Yeah, and you know, I mean, I laugh at myself when I look at my almost 57-year-old man in the mirror with my Shar-Pei-like skin where muscle used to be and stuff. But I'm happy to have it, and I'm happy to be it, and I'm happy to embrace it. Going back to slide number 1, because we nurture what we love and we love what we nurture. I'm happy for everything my body does for me. So the food freedom course, the reason I'm harping on that is the first module of that is free. So if any of this affects you in any way, you can go to foodfreedomcourse.com, and the first module, absolutely free. You can share it with people you think might benefit from it. You can take some of the questions there, and there's some certain a questionnaire to fill out, and you can see how these imprints affect you and how you feel about yourself. So that's very, very important. Body image and food issues, they both go together. The modern industrial and beauty machine is still about 2 things. 1, make you feel never good enough the way you are, and 2, giving you virtually impossible ideal images to measure yourself by in order to ensure that you keep feeling number 1, whether that's skin cream, plastic surgery, hair products, whatever. And it's no wonder neurosis about food and body image and eating and weight are common manifestations. So what I want to get across to you, the old lady, young lady image, there's beautiful Ange at her photo shoot. Imagine her. She was once 60 pounds bigger than that. Treat your attention with dignity and respect. You got to question what you're paying attention to and what you're clicking on. Are you better off for it, or does it make you feel bad about yourself? Treat your attention with dignity and respect, because attention, energy flows where attention goes. So if something isn't going to be empowering for you, why would you continue to engage it? So that's an important thing. And that's why I think coaching is so valuable. I've got my own clients on here who are, are testaments to having lost a substantial amount of weight. We've got Mike on here, and we've got, who else do I have on here? Ollie and and Ange, of course, who have lost substantial amounts of weight, but they live with food freedom. So again, this course, you've maybe seen the ads online for the course. And again, the first module, which is extensive, take you a week or 2 to get through, is absolutely free, because no one should be living life. It doesn't matter if you have $1 million body and but you have a 10-cent head. That's never going to work. And if you're going to hate yourself to weight loss, then the consequences of that are going to be worse than what you gain. I've seen it a million times over. That's why every so often I feel compelled to do webinars like this and try to get people to latch on to what they need to latch on to and understand what you need to understand, because in the end, it's all about this. Do you see the young woman? Do you see the older woman? Why does it matter? It matters because the cultural imprints are such that you are being directed to see what the modern industrial beauty complex wants you to see. So most people saw the young woman in this picture. I saw the old woman immediately and always have. So very, very important stuff. Perry's just posting a link if you want to just put that in your browser. And like I said, even if it's for someone you know who it could help. But we got to start asking the deeper questions, folks. Why do you want to change your body? Why do you want the way to change the way you eat? Why do you want to change the way you look at yourself and what you see? So these are very, very important things. And we need to understand that we've got to get beyond mirror, mirror on the wall, and we got to get beyond unrealistic expectations for people who I see it all the time now, especially with Photoshop and everything on Instagram. People are going on to young fitness bunny pages where they have nothing else to do. They got menial part-time jobs. They live in the gym. They starve themselves and everyone's telling them how wonderful they are. But you don't live that life. So let's get real about getting real, and let's start talking some real talk. That's what coaching should be about. I'm going to bring the whole screen in here now. Let's get some comments, hopefully, from people. Linda's just given a shout out to Ange. And yeah, hopefully you guys have some more comments. I see there's been 111 comments already. Boom. So I'm happy that I was able to get this out to you. I almost didn't do this webinar because people, I think, are so caught up and wrapped up into, show us a training program, show us a diet, blah, blah, blah. Ollie's just saying that he ditched Instagram for this exact reason. And Ollie's one of my clients who has lost a substantial amount of weight. I'll be doing a before and after on him after as well later on. But about doing it with food freedom, enjoying food, not being afraid of food. And again, manifesting guilt and shame around things we are hardwired to enjoy, like food and sex, in our modern world makes absolutely no sense at all. So yeah, I just continues to boggle my mind that we live in such a world. So yeah, so and then Andy said earlier, at least when you go to real jail you can see the bars. So yeah, life inside the thin cage, very, very weird, very important stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys keep the comments coming. If you have any questions or comments, that'll be good too. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through to make sure I didn't miss anything. Could have swore I saw an old friend here on here, but I guess not. Oh, it's because I'm scrolling down the wrong way. So so a lot, some new people, and that's great. And I hope you guys, got something out of this. Hate to rant, but that's my nature. I rant. That's what I do. Hopefully people benefited from that. So I could have swore I saw an old friend's name on here I was going to give a shout out to, but I guess not. Yeah. Anyway, so let me go scroll back up, and then Mike is just saying, I have a list of videos that I found that I give to people that ask me about diet. The presentation is going to be added to the list. Great subject, great talk. Thanks, Coach. Mike is another one of my clients who has lost well over 100 pounds, kept it off, and who doesn't live life inside the thin cage. Linda's just saying might be too much to go into right now. But I wonder if some people like myself got so overweight by looking in the mirror and maybe not seeing myself as bigger, but possibly smaller. Possible, but there's my old friend. Hey, Linda. Nice to see you. I was actually just thinking about you the other day. Drop me a line sometime. So sorry for that personal interruption. Ange is just saying, breaks my heart to see beautiful women that are so hard on themselves. And, I've been dealing with that forever, and to tell women that they're, to tell some of them that their expectations aren't real, they'll move on to the next idiot guru who will promise them the world. Oh yeah, we can get there, and they will get there. They'll get there with keto nonsense or no carbs, and that'll last about 8 to 12 weeks, and then the rebound will ensue, and then they'll be there from that. So yeah, and it should be after a certain age. It should be about doing this because the way it makes you feel, the way it makes you look is just an added bonus to that. That's the way I look at it. So that's pretty funny. Lydia's just saying she stopped following a bunch of fitness gals. How many times do we need to see and focus on their boobs, bum, and abs? Same stuff every day. And because it gains followers and that's what sells. But I'm trying to get to a deeper level of self-connection, obviously, Lydia. So again, remember, I'm going to bring that up one more time and just, nope, let me just hide the comments here, and I'll finish the way I started. And we will go to the actual first slide. And remember, imprint that into your head. We nurture what we love, and we love what we nurture. So imagine if you took care and looked at your body the way you take care of and look at a pet you may have that's been with you for years and years. Your body should be your lifelong partner and not your lifelong project. And on that note, I'm going to end the broadcast. I get a little weepy with this stuff. I don't know why, but I just see too many people suffering needlessly over nothing, over cultural imprints that they've embraced and absorbed, and unrealistic expectations, and a self-torment that revolves around that. So anyway, thank you for attending, and hopefully you will share this, get people talking, get people commenting. And that this is my second webinar this week, and I hope to see you all next time. I hope the old woman, young woman image is something that you will scratch your head about and think about, and realize always that the marketing industry does research over and over again to always have one up on you. So again, treat your attention with dignity and respect. And Perry's just posting the link to my course. For those of you who may be interested. And again, this first module is absolutely free. You can share it with someone. And again, thanks for being there. And I will see you all next time.